Welcome to Thinkers Table, the new podcast covering diverse voices and the most unique stories in deep tech. My name is Ved Lahana and I'm a product owner at One Trading, a cryptocurrency exchange. I've previously been an intern at AWS, an operator of various European fintechs, as well as a Web3 angel investor. Thinkers Table is a podcast covering all things deep tech, from AI to blockchain to climate tech. Each episode will introduce a new guest covering how they broke into tech, their most recent projects, and some lessons they've learned along the way. So join me and listen if you want to get deep into tech. Hey everyone, we're back again today at Cryption XYZ. Here today, my guest is Mariana. We'll kick it off. How about you sum yourself up professionally in one sentence, Mariana?
Hi, I'm Mariana. So happy to be on the podcast, but summing myself up professionally would be an ambitious young woman into the fintech and product startup space, if that makes any sort of sense. I just jumbled.
That's a nice sentence. I think that sums it up pretty good. I'm sure that resonates with a lot of people, which is nice to hear. Now I'm going to challenge you. I'm not going to challenge you, but I'm going to make it a little bit different and say, try and describe yourself again, but in a more personal sense.
I am a very creative, girly, I guess I'm girly, but I also am into so many like guy things. Like I love cars, I love the stock market, like all of this finance stuff on the side. I guess this isn't a very well formulated sentence, but I have this girly side to me, but I also have like more of this drive and passion for like other things that aren't very stereotypical of a girl to like or enjoy.
No, that's a fine sentence. There's no structure in this podcast. It's fine. There's no need for it to be a structure. But so we're going with an overall picture of Mariana is a driven fintech startup product person who is creative, girly, but with also interests that are a little bit more manly. Would that be
Yeah,
a fair
exactly. That's very fair.
Great, nice. Cool. So I'm sure everyone knows from the intro who you are and where you work, which is obviously Microsoft. But I'd love to hear what you've been working on most recently.
Most recently, professionally or personally?
Go with whatever you prefer.
Professionally, actually, I guess one of the most exciting things that I've been working on is the product at Microsoft, which is Microsoft Teams. There have been like a lot of brand new updates to Teams, and it's really exciting to see the impact and the footprint that you have on so many people around the world, and how like a little change or shift can really either resonate or not resonate with your users. And it's really, really crazy and sometimes scary to like let something go into the wild and see how people react to it. But that's definitely one of the most exciting things that I've been working on Microsoft wise.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was about to say, like, Teams is used by, I can't even imagine how many million people. Like, the amount of enterprises that I've been with or worked at, and they've had, they're using Teams is crazy. So I can definitely imagine what you're saying about how, one small tiny product change or even like moving a button from left to right is changing like thousands, well, millions of, if not hundreds of millions of people's, clicking behavior, which is really cool. So that must be amazing to work on. Something that I guess is a similar type of question, but a little bit on a different line. In the entire span of your professional, personal, I guess just life, what's a project you would say you're most proud of?
The project I think I'm most proud of is actually one of my first projects slash businesses. When I was during the pandemic, actually, I started sewing face masks for people. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but I started sewing face masks and I started selling them on Etsy with custom logos or custom designs and names. And that was really kind of my first proper product experience. Even though it was a physical product, it still taught me a lot about, selling a product, pitching to people, understanding what my users wanted, how to market, how to use social media, like
Yeah.
all of this SEO strategy, even on Etsy, because it really is like a search engine.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of my proudest moments because it was like this tiny leap for me that seemed like very arbitrary at the time, but in
Mm.
retrospect, really shaped a lot of my habits today.
Yeah. No, I mean, commendable to you because also forget all the creativity aspects of it. You're saving lives, or at that time you were providing a really essential service. So um, no, that's really cool. And yeah, I can imagine that. Like I always say to like everyone that I speak to, no matter how small, that step that you take is a mental thing, and it allows you to, I think, break the barrier down where you're like, okay, cool, so I can actually do this, or I can actually do that, and it really helps. So that's cool. And I guess also, a big question which can have multiple answers, but who would you say your biggest idol is in life? And that can be professional, personal, you can have a few, but yeah.
For sure, my parents. It's more
Yeah.
personal, but I don't know. When you are young, you always look up to your parents and,
Yeah.
all the sacrifices that they've made for you. And
Yeah.
I definitely am able to resonate with that. And it's really helpful. Like, I have my idol as like some of my biggest friends and biggest fans. So just like having their support is instrumental in like everything I do. And I just look up to them so much for like everything that they've like all the support, the love, the environment that I'm in with when I'm with them.
Yeah. If they're watching this, if Mariana's parents, if you're watching this right now, she's earned serious brownie points with that. Like that deserves like the best, her favorite food cook whenever she comes over for the holidays, because that was like a college like valedictorian level of speech about how much you love your parents. So nice. Um, cool. No, I mean that's great to get to know you a little bit more personally because obviously I'm sure everyone who watches your content and is on your LinkedIn, sees the professional side too, but it's nice to, I think, get to know you a bit more personally. But coming more onto the professional side, obviously, like we just discussed, you are at Microsoft as a product manager in the Microsoft Teams product. I'm going to kick it off with a bit of a controversial question, and especially with us product people, it is a bit of a controversial one, but particularly for the product you're working on. As a person, do you believe in the concept of meetings?
I partially do.
Okay,
Part of me thinks a lot of meetings are not necessary and not needed. Most of the
preach.
meetings I have, I'd say probably around 60% or maybe more, maybe or closer to 70% does not need a meeting to get resolved. You can chat away and come to a resolution asynchronously with a group chat.
Oh yeah.
I do believe though meetings are really necessary when you're showing like visual content. Like I think it makes the process more efficient, especially when I'm working with design, to be able to show them and then like live be able to draw changes or be able to brainstorm new ideas in a very efficient and streamlined way.
Hmm.
So there is need for some meetings, but um, not most meetings are not necessary, I believe.
Okay. No, I mean, I think I agree in that vision that when you're working in anything UX, it's really helpful to just have it in front of you. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I'm sure when you're doing
What's
your
your
group.
take?
No, my take is that I agree. I think when you're doing something UX is relevant. I also think if you're trying to do something that's going to be presented to a number of stakeholders or is going to be presented wider. So if you're doing like a demo for something that's going to be sent out organization wide or maybe even put out, I think it's always worth having a meeting just to get those second opinions and those feedback, um, rather than like, for example, sending my demo into a Microsoft Teams group chat and seeing what they say. Um, but no, that's yeah, I can definitely understand that, and I do agree with that. Um,
Meetings do humanize your colleagues, though. for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And I think that there is an importance in needing to get to know them better and understand like how they work.
Oh, for sure. I think it really helps you like have a window into how people think. And when you're doing something like product, if you know your engineers and you know your like engineering manager really well, oh, it makes life a million times easier rather than like having to second guess things, like trying to guess people's behavioral like, ticks and whatever. It's quite difficult. So no, I can definitely agree with that. Um Now, one thing, obviously, you are in a great position that you're working at Microsoft as a PM, and that's like an incredibly unique opportunity because I'm sure not a lot of people get selected for that role. Um, from everyone that you've spoken to, and your colleagues, and maybe even some of your friends, do you think to get into product, it has to be at a FANG company or a big tech company? Or do you think being in product anywhere can kind of elevate you to reach, a Microsoft or a Nvidia or a Apple type of position?
Absolutely. I don't think you need the formal thing experience in order to get into product management. I think a lot of, especially startups, have so much value to add, and you'll be able to give such a larger footprint of impact and scope if you
Sure.
start out at a smaller company. And I think a lot of people are shielded from the fact that, oh, the FANG is like very glittery and fancy.
Yeah.
But for your own personal gain, you're going to learn and grow a lot faster and scale a lot faster at a smaller company or startup.
Yeah.
Um,
That's very true.
and that will help you like later on in your career if you do decide to go to a FANG. The appeal with like a big company is that you have a lot of resources. Everything is kind of handed to you on a nice silver platter.
Yeah.
Go here to know how to write a product spec. Go here to talk to your customers. Go here if you need help with technical analysis and like technical skill resourcing.
Mhm.
And you have to be in it if you're at a startup to be a little scrappier and put that extra effort in. But the output that you will get is probably light years further than at a fancy company.
Yeah. No, I mean, as someone who has done FANG experience that isn't in product and then done a product experience which isn't in FANG, yeah, I can definitely resonate with that. Like during my time at Amazon or Amazon Web Services, to be very particular, it's
Mhm.
so helpful. Like everything is in your internal wiki. You have your docs at any, like you can click a button and you'll get anything. There's so much support from like, even your colleagues and other staff. I actually think one thing that I think is, or that I look back and I think, okay, the reason why FANG and big tech companies are the best is because they silo talent, sorry, so well. So I would look around a room in like a meeting and I'd be like, okay, that person created like S3, or like that person like did like the first product doc or wrote the white paper for like this or that. And it's like, wow, you're sitting next to giants, and um you may not realize it, but I think whenever you go to these FANG companies or even big tech companies, everyone is just of a crazy high caliber, which is really nice and reassures you that like you're on the right path. But it also like kind of gives you that reassurance that hey, I'm doing the right thing and I'm at the right place. So yeah, definitely for sure. Um, and I think kind of on that similar line, I would class you as a technical PM. Would you agree with that? Um,
Of course.
and as a technical PM, would you ever like have a desire if you're on like, for example, a ticket to be like, I really want to write that production code, or I really want to write that code? Or is it something where you're like, I'm the product manager, I'm not the engineer, it's not really the thing that I need to do, but I still want to?
I have the urge all the time, not to write production code, but I have the urge to like actually yesterday we were brainstorming like new features, and it's a little bit like it's definitely in the future and like ideation, but I was like, I want to build, like I want to code up the MVP. Like
Yeah.
even like I don't care if it's production, I just want to like be able to present like an MVP that's working like with code,
Yeah.
and like then I can hand it off to the engineers and then they can clean it up. But I
Uh-huh.
have the urge inside me all the time. Sometimes it is in my place, other times it's not. So I have
Yeah.
to balance it out.
Okay.
But I think like building something that excites me is really exciting, and I get a lot of just like a lot of passion from it.
Yeah.
And it's it's so exciting just to see your creation come to life. That's why I decided to study
100%.
computer science in the
Mhm.
first place, because it's it's like mesmerizing. It's not like you're building something with your hands, but you're
Mhm.
building something virtually, and you can have such a big impact on other people through it.
Yeah. No. Oh my God. 100%. I think being able to, I know it's the classic book, everyone says it, but the 0 to 1
Mm,
book, if
yeah,
anyone's read that, I think that encapsulates kind of what you were saying, which is you get to see potentially like 3 files which have 50 lines of code in it, and then you can like flip onto a screen and it's a whole app, it's a whole like thing, and it's like, oh, I did that, like I actually birthed, that's my child at that point. So that's, yeah, no, for sure, that is that's something that's really cool. And I wish, going back, that's my one regret, I wish I did either CS or did some
let's see.
more like computing modules, because um obviously I'm learning, a little bit more as I go along, and um, I can code in Python and SQL and some JS. But in terms of being like a real builder, I think you have to immerse yourself in that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the future of engineering is with AI and everything, and where it goes and who picks up the code and whatever. But that'll be an interesting twist to see what will happen in that field of work. Um,
It will.
coming Yeah, it'll be impactful for sure.
Especially with ChatGPT, like now we see the trends going towards, you are telling the machine like what you want to code, and then it will code what you tell it to. So
Yeah,
being able to understand how to input and generate like search, and more so input and input what you want to see output is going to be really helpful in terms of making coding and programming more efficient for the average developer.
yeah. Oh no, for sure. I'm sure you have some version of ChatGPT that we may not have, so fair enough. But when I use my like $20, um, whatever we call it now, I think it's called premium. I can't remember what it's called, but the $20 version of ChatGPT, um, yeah, it spits out some great code. Like obviously you have to edit it and you have to make it variable to what you need, but it's definitely like a good level of um, coding skill, which is cool to see. Um, Coming more onto something a bit more product focused, um, and also I think a bit more human focused as well. We obviously speak about EMs, and for anyone who doesn't know, who isn't in product watching this, an EM is an engineering manager. So that's the leader of the team of your engineers or your devs, who you are the product manager for. Um, how important do you think the role is of the EM in that team to produce results versus the devs themselves?
So important. The EM's pivotal. The EM is setting the structure for the devs, and they're like the backbone of the devs. Most of the times when you have a question as a dev, you're going to go to your EM, and they're going to really help you go into the direction technically that you need to go in. Like
Mhm.
I, as a product manager, I'm not telling the devs this is exactly how you're going to make the code the most efficient possible,
Yeah,
like production running code, but that is the job of the EM. And so I rely on the relationship I have with my EM to, you know, steer the product and the feature in that direction.
yeah. No, for sure, and I think that is also really important. Even if you aren't in product, just if you're working with if you're working at a tech startup, even if you're just working on a product, having a good relationship with the EM of that team, just is so important. It just helps just with communication, regardless of if it's even results. Like it's understanding the updates, understanding where everyone's at, understanding the sprint and everything is really important. So yeah, I can definitely agree to that.
Hmm.
Another product question for you is kind of, obviously we've spoken about how product specs is something that's really important in being a product manager. What's your kind of general thoughts on having to write product specs, and in general, like, it could even be like writing acceptance criteria? How do you feel about that process? And is it something that like you enjoy, you maybe don't enjoy as much as the other sides of product, or how do you see it?
I like writing product specs. I think it's a part of the challenge of understanding all of the edge cases too. One of my favorite parts is definitely understanding like the analytics. If it's a new feature, like what analytics have to be created
Hmm.
in order to, create success for the product or define success for the product.
Hmm.
And there is like a challenge of understanding, okay, this is the algorithm that we're going to use, or these are all the dependencies that have to be filed in order to collaborate with other teams to accomplish X, Y, Z.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, yeah, for sure. I think there's sometimes if you're working on something that's a bit like either monolithic or huge, it can get a bit, yeah, it can get a bit painful. But I think overall, yeah, I agree. They're also quite helpful for you to like almost coming back through your work. I think to understand truly what exactly you've done, where the impact's going to be, how you measure that success, like you were saying, where the product metrics are, what dashboards you may need to create, and that type of stuff is super useful. So fair
Hmm.
enough.
It
Um,
shouldn't be too long of a document either. I think once it starts getting too
I don't,
long,
I don't know.
then maybe you break it up.
I think it's you need to break it up because product specs, when I've written them, I think they have to be in enough detail where obviously this is not the way you should think about it, but I think the way that you kind of should write it is like, if I left tomorrow, what would someone have to read to truly understand it? And if you go about it in that mindset, I feel like it gets quite gets quite chunky. But yeah, you have to split that up. I've written a few in my time, and it have to be split up. All every single one that I've done usually has to be split up sometimes. So um, yeah, that's cool to hear. Um, cool. My last question on like everything Microsoft, and I guess it's more of a career related question. And it's a bit of an open question, so you can answer whatever facet you want. But how do you find working at Microsoft? And one thing that I find really like dear to my heart is like diversity, equality, and inclusion in tech. So how do you find it at Microsoft?
I love Microsoft as a company. The culture that they've cultivated is amazing as of right now. I know that wasn't always the case in the past, but they've done a really good job of, including everyone into different communities. There are countless opportunities where you can volunteer, you can meet new people. We have like clubs and resource groups on campus, which is really awesome. They there are amazing perks in the office too. Like we have all the games,
Yeah.
snacks, which is cool. But there's such a vast amount of talent and diversity at Microsoft too. I think they have done a really good job at trying to include everyone into the workforce. And they do a very good job of including people's ideas as well. Like
Okay.
everyone on my team is very open to listening to how people's past experiences will affect, the product, affect the
Hmm.
culture. We have specific teams dedicated towards, diversity and inclusion,
Hmm.
and you can really see it like shine for sure.
Yeah.
So no complaints on that front.
Nice. Yeah, no, no. I've only heard good things about Microsoft. I think obviously the UK and the US are very different, I think, workplace cultures and also just organizational cultures. But I've heard good things about Microsoft UK, and you've told me good things about Microsoft US. So
US.
I guess it's everything's dandy. Um Cool. I think that was a lot of Microsoft product PM team stuff. So we'll go into like something that I like to, which is more of a quick fire round. So first question in the quick fire round is, what's the most expensive piece of tech you own? I'm gonna put in here omitting your car because it does count as tech, but it doesn't in my mind.
The most expensive. I'm simple. I just use my like MacBook Pro. That's probably my most expensive piece
Okay.
of
No.
tech. Yeah, it's like gigged out, like whatever the top spec, but like she's my little princess. I use her every day. It's what I code on. Like I
No.
feel like I don't need anything else. The just the Mac environment is awesome. So
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. I can agree. Um, okay. Next question is, what's your most used social media app?
I believe it's TikTok.
Nice. Okay.
I'm low-key, yeah, I love watching other people's content too, and just like understanding like what are people thinking, what are their thoughts,
Yeah.
or you know, what other people are doing in their day-to-day life. As mundane as that sounds, I
Yeah.
love watching the day in my lives.
Nice. Nice. No, I mean, to be honest, it does, it does make a lot of sense. I've seen, I can't remember his name. God. There was a person who's a professional, like content almost advisor or consultant, and he was
Mhm.
saying how basically there's two key trends in, content land. One is everyone's attention span is just shot to pieces. So TikTok is on the up like crazy. And the second thing is the kind of mundane connection that you can have with an audience is the way that people are driving their social platforms. So um, I gave the example of someone who is a coffee barista and he does a live stream every morning making his coffee at home. And apparently, it's like one of the most viewed streamers on TikTok because people get up at the same time as him and make their coffee, and he does it every day at 8 a.m. And the kind of trend was, everyone who does mundane content allows humanity with their kind of audience. It allows them to connect easier. So fair. They've got you. The trend has
Make
got you.
make coffee with me. Maybe I should start code with me live stream.
I've seen it. I've actually sat there and done those, so it actually could be quite a good idea. There's also, I forget what they're called. Oh, I saw this recent trend yesterday. They're called double body streams. So it's essentially where if people who are neurodivergent or have ADD or ADHD or any of those type of things, they essentially go to these body double streams and they will sit in a room with 10 people in silence and just do their work because they sometimes struggle because they're so distracted and they don't want to like sit alone. And that really helps them. And I found that very interesting because I also struggle, but I don't know if I could sit there in silence with 10 strangers, but I think I need to try it one day. I might try it one day, but yeah, make code with me streams. That's coming up next. So for everyone watching, you can follow Mariana
Awesome.
and all the links will be in the description. So, that'll be fine. Cool. Last but definitely not least, what's your 2024 tech prediction?
Tech as in like hardware, software. What are we thinking here?
The question was as broad as you want it to be, but you can go with three predictions: one software, one hardware, and one maybe organizational. Because we've seen obviously everything happen at OpenAI drama, so maybe those three categories will cover kind of the predictions.
Hardware, I'm not like actually too into the hardware tech space, to be honest. Like
Fine.
I just know that there's the new Apple chip, the M2.
Yep.
I think that's very old news though.
Fair. I mean,
M3 maybe. Software. So software wise, I think we're gonna see a lot of um actually a lot of like the chat GPT startups like kind of start to die out, and like the really important ones or the ones that find really good product market fit come to life probably like towards the end of next year, I think.
yeah.
um the VC money hasn't been there. And so I think the end of next year is going to be really telling to which ones survive and which
Yeah.
ones have a really big need in their markets.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of GPT businesses that we can talk about. We can sit here and have a whole like podcast episode on just GPT, types of businesses being raising crazy rounds. But we'll save it. We'll save it.
We'll
Um,
save.
cool. I mean, that was a quick fire round. So yeah, I mean, moving a little bit further on, we got to know you, a little bit more personally at the start of the podcast. From my research, I kind of found out two key interests of yours and like one experience of yours. One being cars, and the other being that you were a D1 athlete at golf, which is very cool, both of them. So obviously, the main question is what is the dream car? What's the main garage? And if you can't think of one, because as a car person, I also couldn't give one. You can also give a 4-car garage.
4-car garage. Oh,
Yeah,
I've never heard of the 4-car garage. I always heard it was like the 3-car garage.
I thought I'd
Okay.
be nice. I thought I'd be nice and give you an
Okay,
extra.
thank you. Thank you for being nice. Okay. The first uh GT3 RS has to be.
Okay.
I'm
Uh,
sorry.
is it the spoiler? Is it just like the vibe, or
I
what
don't
is it?
know. The spoiler, it's like kind of tracky. It's a
Yeah,
Porsche.
yeah.
Like it hits on a lot of marks.
Fair. No, I see it. I don't think I could do the spoiler. I think I could do a 911, but like the spoiler just it looks too tracky for me. But
Does
I
it
can
ruin
see
it?
why you like it. That's cool.
I really like that. Then, I don't know why, when I always love businesses and I'm like, you gotta have a G-Wagon, write it off with the business
Fair, fair.
expense.
Yeah,
Like
tax write-offs. We
a
like it. We like it.
G63, you need it
Yeah,
just
yeah,
for the
yeah.
tax write-off.
And it's comfortable. They are very comfortable cars.
That one, the really one that's like the weekender would be a LaFerrari Aperta.
Ooh, LaFerraris
hmm
are very, very nice cars.
hmm
This is going to sound very British, but I would do an Aston Martin. But so far, I'm agreeing
Uh,
with the first two. But I'd swap out the Ferrari for an Aston Martin. But
for an
fair.
Aston.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay. Okay, last is probably when I was really young, I was really into Bentleys. So I think I owe it to myself to give myself like my younger self, like her younger dream car, which was
yeah.
Bentley Continental
Oh,
GT.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I can see that. I can see that. Okay. I mean, that's a pretty good garage. I feel
hmm
like do you just not want a daily like a little Toyota or a Nissan just to like have around, or is it only nice cars?
Um, no, I think I just like daily the G-Wagon.
Fair,
Yeah.
fair. I know. Cool. I mean that's a pretty nice garage. And yeah,
You
glad.
said dream garage, so
No, dream. Yeah, that's true. That's dream. That's dream. That's dream. Okay, cool, cool. I obviously also saw that you went to a lot of F1 circuits. You went to a lot of F1 races. Was it 1 or 2 years ago? I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 years ago from when I saw the videos. Um, so either from all the ones you visited or just all the races you've watched, what's your favorite F1 track or the best F1 track in your opinion?
I think the best F1 track is Spa. I don't know, something about the
Yeah.
track, like circuit itself is like really beautiful, and I really like a
Mhm.
lot of the turns in it. I haven't been there personally, like in person to see it, but that's
Yeah.
one I have to go to. In
Hmm.
person though, like Monaco. I don't know,
Yeah.
there's something about the vibe and
Yeah.
like everything, like the hairpin, that it's just like dreamy.
Yeah. No, I can imagine the air smells different. It just is different as a place, but fair enough. If you've never been, I went to Monza
hmm
last year. That was amazing. That like track run to the podium, like the tifosi, the noise when like Charles Leclerc would drive past. It's yeah, it's crazy. It's like the one of the best races I've been to. I've also been to Silverstone. The vibes were just a little bit more muted, but it was still cool. But like
Are you,
Monza was amazing.
Are you a Lewis fan?
I am a Lewis fan. I've the eighth time world champion Lewis fan. Yeah. Who do you support?
I support Lewis.
Okay, nice. Fair enough.
Yes,
Cool. I mean,
I am.
I've liked Lewis since like 2008. We have a shop. I don't know if you ever visited the UK, but there's a like really famous like department store called Marks and Spencers, and they used to sell
Hmm.
F1 merch. And I still have my 2008 Lewis Hamilton when he
Oh,
joined McLaren shirt.
Mercedes. Oh,
Yeah, but
oh,
yeah,
so sweet.
it was nice. Coming back onto like topic of startups, cars, tech type stuff. Um, Obviously, as a car person, I'm sure you like your Teslas, or you might at least commend what Tesla built. So, if you could be Elon Musk for a day, or just be CEO of Tesla, what's the one change you'd make?
The one change I would make, I guess at Tesla, well, I'm gonna change the question a little bit. I think I would revoke Elon Musk's ability to like tweet.
So, you're going to revoke the ability to use his own app that he owns. I mean, fair enough.
I don't
Fair enough.
I don't
Is
know. I think there was such a time where a couple years ago, like he would send off a tweet, especially with the Dogecoin
Oh, the Doge stuff. Yeah,
craze, like
yeah,
tweet Elon tweets,
20%.
markets completely change, like
Yeah,
up or down, or like it was crazy.
yeah,
And I think the volatility is like it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing.
yeah,
So the I guess he has a lot of influence, and that influence is can be good to people or it can be bad. But I love what he's doing with Tesla. I'm not sure if I'm not the biggest electric car fan,
fair.
but I like my gas cars. But I think it's gonna happen at one day.
Yeah, no, we can tell from the garage, from the G wagon as a daily. I think we get that you like the gas cars. Um, I think then coming more onto another part of your personal experience is obviously you were a D1 athlete and um, in golf. So I think obviously something that is not a trend, but people say a lot is as a really high level athlete, or even as a D1 athlete, more specifically, you learn like a lot of resiliency, discipline, and a plethora of skills. So how do you think being a D1 athlete has impacted your journey, either just as a career or as a PM in general?
It definitely teaches you so many foundational skills about determination, um, perseverance, a lot of etiquette as well, which I
Mhm.
really appreciate, like even in my day-to-day life. But you can be out on the golf course and your game could be awful. Like you're on like the fifth hole and you're really playing bad, but you have so many more holes to go. You take the turn, you still have 9 holes left. Like you have to go through and make changes, like small iterations, if you want to call it that, to
Mhm.
your swing in order to like round out your game. So I think it just has a lot, teaches you a lot of core values,
Yeah.
which I really appreciate and took into my life and career as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. No, cool. I mean, that's cool to hear. And I like, have a few friends who are athletes and they say similar things where it's I think more of a mental battle than a physical one for a lot of athletes at that level. Because they know they have the conditioning, they know they have the fitness. It's just about keeping your head focused in the game. So yeah, cool.
Absolutely.
Something that we also haven't mentioned up until now is that you're also a founder of a business called Quantify AI. Now, I think I can describe it from my research, but I think it's best that you intro Quantify AI and kind of tell us more about it.
Absolutely. So Quantify is a cryptocurrency portfolio optimization tool and discovery tool for financial advisors. So we're making it easier for financial advisors to invest into crypto on behalf of their clients and really help them manage and increase their return on investment in the long term.
Okay, cool. I mean, um, An interesting question that I like to pose as someone who's done crypto for a while. Um, why crypto over any other asset type?
I was really trying to find product market fit. I originally wanted the idea in the equities and stock market because that was my main focus. And I still love the equities market, but I found this niche where in this market of financial advisors who didn't know about this like overwhelming new community of crypto. I'm reading Twitter influencers, reading Reddit,
Yeah.
and I don't know how to invest for my client. And so it really more was a opportunity for me more than anything to pivot into cryptocurrency and provide value in a way that very few people are.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to ask you what problem are you solving, but I think that, that perfectly encapsulates exactly what I was going to ask. I guess something that, can help understand how you reach product market fit from a business point of view. Um, was it more of looking um, at how would you, or let me rephrase the question. How did you know who your customers were? Or was it a case of a customer or a potential customer kind of reached out or presented the problem to you and then you took it away and solved it? Or was it something that you saw was a problem from a specific, audience and then took it away?
hmm I was first going in the completely opposite direction, wanted to go B2C, go to the consumer, because that was really the position that I had placed myself in. I was like, I would want to use something for that
Mm-hmm.
purpose or very similar. I was putting myself in those same shoes. And then I had a group of advisors really come to me and say, well, how can you gather a larger part of the market at a faster pace, in
Hmm.
order looking down the line when you really want to scale? Like, how are you going to be able to scale? And that's by targeting the people with the most amount of assets under management.
Hmm.
And that was financial advisors and, later, hopefully, financial institutions.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of funds and businesses that I've seen, and even like trading desks that are popping out from, very positive jurisdictions like Europe and Dubai. Unfortunately, not so much, I would say, from the UK and US, just purely because of regulations and everything else.
Regulations.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I've seen a lot of trading desks set up in the past few weeks, OTC desks, even treasury management solutions that have launched recently that, really, um, really could use a tool like this. So it's cool to hear that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we spoke earlier about how Elon Musk tweeting Doge could send like, the market into a frenzy or even a selling frenzy either way. But he and, many other influential figures in the space have the ability to send cryptocurrencies, either which way, which can give a false, feeling that a lot of the crypto market is based on sentiment, which I don't believe it is. As someone who's worked at like trading exchange and understands the fundamentals behind some of these assets, but um, as someone coming into founding this business, do you think that being data driven is the right approach to the crypto market, or do you think that you may need a combination of like sentimental tools, data driven stuff on like market caps and trading volumes, etc., to truly understand the market?
A lot of the analysis that I do is all driven by data. And that's the way I prefer to look at the market as well. I think it depends. There are lots of periods and little mini eras where you can say sentiment has a really large part of it, but I have seen like a lot of correlation so far between the equities and within
Mhm.
cryptocurrency. It's also going to depend based on what types of coins you decide to analyze. But in terms of optimization, I always love like a data, very technical based approach
Yeah.
when I'm analyzing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think especially with the crypto market at the moment, there's lots of alpha to be found. There's lots of,
Yeah.
airdrops that are coming out. There's lots of new types of tools that are like using tokenization, using many other different types of technologies. And yeah, grasping those fundamentals of like market cap, trading volume, spread, depth, where it's listed. Do you need to use the DEX? Do you need to use a centralized exchange? That type of like nuance, I think, is requires a lot of data to back that up, as well as just understanding the market that you're dealing in, which is, I think, incredibly important.
hmm And
And yeah,
modeling becomes a lot more accurate as well,
mhm,
I find, when you use a lot of data.
yeah, oh
The
yeah,
more,
yeah,
hmm
yeah,
But
for
go
sure.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask, like, coming more on to the business itself, coming away from crypto, I think. Um, how have you found the kind of process of growth, onboarding maybe your first few customers, that kind of initial stage? How would you describe that if you could in a very short way?
Growth in this climate is not the easiest, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As I'm sure a lot of other startup founders are aware and are also dealing with, it's hard to gain, um, traction and like find legitimate customers. A lot of people will, it'll pique their interest, but signing them and having people commit is hard, especially when you're like a new product like ours,
Hmm.
because they're kind of like the guinea pigs. But I think we've presented our value very fairly and very strongly to be able to like make some key partnerships.
Yeah, cool. No, I mean, that's great to hear. And yeah, the start's always the hardest. I think that
Yeah.
first step is always going to be the most difficult. So yeah, definitely for sure. Um, cool. I mean, I guess that's everything that we were going to discuss about Quantify, and also everything about crypto. So we'll kind of close it out with just like a really short section on just general tech. Because obviously, as being a PM in Microsoft, I would say it's a very specialized type of role, but I think you have a huge visual on a lot of the aspects of tech, from just like the ideation to the delivery to the even probably the advertising and the marketing side of it. So I'm sure you get a huge range of stuff across your desk. So I think it'd be really valuable to get your insights on some of these things. Um, I guess to begin with, someone who has a CS background would, I guess, traditionally be a SWE, or maybe, cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, whatever they prefer. But what chose you to become a PM?
I really fell in love with building things and coding things, but they had to be in alignment with what I was really passionate about. And at a big enterprise, I realized I interned at a startup company while I was at university, and I really wasn't passionate about the product that I was building there.
Yeah,
And I really found myself focusing more on the business side. I created, Quantify while I was at university, had other businesses as well, and really just found myself drawn towards like building and scaling products in more of a product sense. Um, and so that kind of pivoted me towards more being a product manager,
okay.
um, because I liked building and the fact of being able to iterate and ideate, but not necessarily code on something that I wasn't completely passionate about.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that's a pretty good take as well. And anytime that I've done contracts or things on certain aspects of the product, um, I still do them to the best of my ability, but yeah, they're a lot less engaging, and you are forced, or not forced, but sometimes you look elsewhere,
Yeah.
is not great, but it is what it is, I guess. Um, Great. I think next question, and we've spoken about a few tech books during, the podcast, but what would you say is the best tech book for anyone?
I am obsessed with the lean startup.
Nice. Okay.
Something about it's an old timer, like
It
a lot of
is.
people's favorites, but there's something about just like being able to build a product with bare bones. Anyone can do it. I think that it really enables people to chase after building something and scaling something. if they want to and if they have the drive and determination to. It has so many lessons and life hacks that are so applicable.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. And it's not even that long of a read. It's like 100 pages. Is it? Oh, I read it so long ago.
It's not that long of a book,
Yeah, it's
and
not a long book.
It's an easy read.
Yeah, no, it's really easy to read, and I like the sections of how it's like split up and how it constantly refers back to his startup, and then like it kind of compares it to other companies and case studies, which is like quite a nice, I think, overview. So yeah, for sure, Lean Startup's a great book. Cool. I think the last question, because I think we're reaching time. What is? I mean, I guess there's a two-pronged question, but very similar.
Okay.
So, what's your like favorite country in the world? And also, if you could launch a business in any country in the world, where would it be? And I'm going to say you can't say the US. Oh, fine, you can't say the US. You can't say the US. Fine.
Okay, I kind of like the you can't say the US. Favorite country in the world. I love Monaco. I really like Monaco. I honestly don't know all of the for launching a business though, I haven't done that much research into what country would be the best to do business in. I've heard Dubai is really great.
Yeah,
or like the
especially
UAE.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, for crypto, it's amazing. They have a special economic zone in Ras Al Khaimah, which is where they have, I believe, a sandbox for digital assets. So you can set up an office there and you can basically do anything. And in DFC, which is Dubai Financial District, like center, they also have a similar thing where they have special economic zone. So there's lots of like prop firms or even trading desks that have set up.
That are there.
And yeah, they're all in either those two economic zones, and also just a great place. It's a really, really pretty place. So I don't think you can lose if you're in Dubai.
So I'd definitely be drawn to start business there for sure in the future.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Especially in our line of work.
Oh yeah, and yeah, our line of work, and also I think just the general climate. It feels like a lot more talent is going out there. Maybe that's because of the zero tax for income, but regardless, that is a lot of talent is moving to. I mean, I guess more Asia side anyway in general, but also the Middle East more specifically, and also very specifically Dubai. So yeah, no, pretty cool. Great. I think that's all my questions. And yeah, that was a great episode. So I'm sure everyone will love it. And for everyone watching, every one of the links, anything we've spoken about, will all be down in the description. It's going to be on Spotify and YouTube, so you can check it out in video or audio form, whatever you prefer. And yeah, thanks so much, Mariana. It's amazing to have you on. Thanks for all your insights. And yeah.
Thank you, Ved, for having me. I had such an amazing time. It was a great chat, getting to know you. I hope all of the listeners glean something from this 50 some minutes, but it was so great getting to know you too.
Yeah,
thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks.